Happy Independence Day! Woo! Okay, so for today, I thought I would celebrate by sharing what are, in my opinion, the top 10 TCG exclusives. Now, before the smartass runs down in the comments, yes, I know that TCG exclusives aren't actually exclusive only to America, but because it's Independence Day, for the sake of this video, they are. Let's go. So number 10 is Charge of the Light Brigade. The Lightsworn Rhoda of sorts came out in the Duelist Genesis, I believe, and when I think about it, was extremely powerful for its time. I mean, when you consider how powerful cards like Reinforcement of the Army already are, just these spells that you just instantly activate and just search something, it's kind of crazy. Especially because Lightsworn's already had Solar Recharge, you know, something that you pitch a Lightsworn, you mill 2 cards, and you draw 2 cards. It's just like filtering through the deck, very powerful. And now, you know, of course, by today's standards, these cards don't necessarily help Lightsworns. Like, they're not like super viable, but at the time that was really strong. You know, when you were setting up Judgment Dragon and you just search Lumina most of the time, and Lumina could just get back things like another Lumina or Lila or just whatever, Garoth, and that was huge. This card also was a secret rare, and at its peak got to like nearly $100. I mean, if I remember correctly, it might have been more. So yeah, that's definitely number 10. It, for its time, was extremely powerful. Still is a good card. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have this many, you know, simple activate, play, and profit search cards. So yeah, Charge of the Light Brigade. Number 9 is Wind Up Zenmaines. So Wind Up Zenmaines, when I think of Zenmaines, I think of kind of what Xyz's power creep was. We started with Gachi Gachi Guntetsu, which a lot of people kind of complained about early on. Not like complain hardcore, but the fact that, you know, it was this powerful thing that was hard to get rid of. It was very defensive and bulked up your field. Well then, we got, you know, and like, let's not forget Maestroke as well, which was another defensive Xyz monster that kind of could sit there and survive and punish your opponent. Well, when you consider cards like Zenmaines, it was at its time just very, it felt at the time game breaking, because, you know, it's this card that's so hard to get rid of. You know, it has this high defense and it can just protect itself, and then when it protects itself, you pop a card from your opponent at the end phase and the thing's still just sitting there. So it often took multiple attacks to get rid of. Multiple cards like, you know, say Dark Hole, didn't feel effective against it, and so that was really powerful at its time. And it was a secret rare as well, like TCG exclusives sometimes tend to be. It was supposed to be wind up support, and obviously they made great use of it. You know, like Zenmaines with Factory on the field was an incredible turn 1 if you didn't have anything better. But any deck could use it. It was just a rank 3 generic. A lot of people complained about it, and it reached really high prices as well, like 80, 90 bucks. So that's number 9. So card number 8, EVOLZAR DOLKKA. Another secret rare, and another one that got pretty pricey. This card is, in my opinion, what made Dino Rabbit as dominant as it was, because, you know, sure, Lagia was good, but DOLKKA was the guy who kind of ensured that decks like Inzectors and Windups truly could not make plays sometimes. DOLKKA was a little bit weaker, but it gave you 2 negations of monster effects in a format where monster effects became pretty popular. You know, like I said, if you got this thing out against Inzectors, then, you know, the first turn plays with something like Dragonfly or Centipede were effectively shut down, and that left them pretty hopeless. Obviously, it was also a really strong card in tandem with Lagia, so, you know, if you summon Lagia and then next turn you did the whole like Tour Guide Levier, Get Back Rabbit, and make a DOLKKA or a second Lagia, then your opponent probably lost. But yeah, DOLKKA was a really powerful one, and so that's why it gets number 8. Number 7 is Allure of Darkness. This came out in Phantom Darkness, and really powerful draw card for the time, especially being as pseudo-generic as it was. Just any dark deck could use it. So obviously Teledad made great use, and like Dark Arm Return, but also later on decks like Zombies, Blackwings. So you just draw 2 cards and you have to banish a dark monster. I liked the cost. It was actually kind of an interesting take on, instead of just being like trade in where you just pitch and draw, I like the fact that, you know, you drew first and then you banished, so you kind of got a little bit more flexibility. But it was also a bit of a risk card, so like if you were down and you didn't have any dark monsters, you could take a chance and activate Allure, but generally speaking, Allure was pretty good. And it, of course, speaks to how good the card was, that it ultimately got limited. And I'm glad that it's a 2 now. I think that it is a pretty useful card. It's going to be useful in like decks like Dark Magician, but also some of the major dark decks that we have coming up. It's not really as relevant today, but I really always enjoyed the idea of like having Allure of Darkness because it was such an elusive card when it was first released. So when it finally got reprinted super in that one special edition, I don't remember the exact set, it was great. So yeah, Allure of Darkness. Number 6 is Gateway of the Six Samurai, a card that, again, I think it really pushed Six Sams over the top. At the time of its release, it actually wasn't a huge deal because it came out before, Legendary Six Samurai. But when Legendary Six Samurai came out, they made this card incredibly powerful. There were loops with Kazan, and it just really allowed you to extend your turns over and over and over. And there was even a period of time after Legendary Six Samurai came out where this card was at 3. It was only a few weeks, but this card was at 3, and the deck was, nigh tier 0. You really couldn't do much of anything. And once they got 1 or 2 of this out, it was just kind of game over. They never ran out of resources, and pretty crazy stuff. So yeah, Legendary Six Samurai Gateway. I don't know why I said it like that. Yeah, but Gateway, really powerful. Number 5 is LONEFIRE Blossom, also from Phantom Darkness. One that not as many people think about, but to me, it deserves to be on the list this high up because it stayed relevant for a very long time. LONEFIRE is a powerful card when you think about it because you just tribute it off to get a plant from your deck. And this was before cards had any sort of, or before these type of cards had any sort of once per turn, or like, you could only use LONEFIRE once per turn and like only once that turn. No, this didn't have that stipulation. You could tribute LONEFIRE to get a LONEFIRE, tribute that to get a LONEFIRE, tribute that to get a and then get out whatever big plant you wanted to, whether it was like Titanium or Giga Plant, or just things like Spore or Dandelion or Glow Up Bulb. This thing was really strong, stayed really relevant, was always a key part in the plant engine that ended up being very popular in a lot of decks. I think that personally it could still be really good today if we just had a really powerful plant deck to use it in because this card's really good. And Sylvan's made some short use of it, but yeah, definitely LONEFIRE Blossom was always one of my favorites. I like playing Gigavies and other similar things, so that's why I made this point in the list. Number 4 is Reborn Tengu, similar to LONEFIRE Blossom in that, it kind of could get multiple copies of itself out of the deck. Really powerful, basically pivotal card in the plant synchro deck because you could just sync with it and then just get more. And it was even when you weren't making power plays like synchro summoning with it, you could always just put it in any anti-meta deck or anything and just normal summon it and feel safe because bottomless didn't matter, deep prison didn't matter. No matter what your opponent really did to it, you would just get another one and float. And this was some of the most powerful floating. It was just a when this card is removed from the field. It's funny to think of this card's back, but just not doing anything, but that's probably just because, synchros are a bit more subdued now and they're more broken floaters. So yeah, but Reborn Tengu, I remember at the time, funny story, it was a sneak peek exclusive as well. So you got it for going to the sneak peek, and so it was like really cheap. And then like a couple weeks later, when it finally, people realized how good it was, it shot up to like 20 bucks or so. And so if you've been kind of saving your sneak peek copies, or people have been dumb enough to give them to you, you can make some quick money. But yeah, this card ended up being one of my least favorites in terms of playing against it because, I'm very big on the whole idea of basic card economy, and it kind of broke that barrier in a sense. So yeah, it gets number 4. Number 3 is Abyss Dweller. So this card I actually forgot was a TCG exclusive, but it's been relevant literally since release. Today, you see it shutting down Cosmos and Burning Abyss, but it's always been really good. You just negate your opponent's graveyard effects. And funny story, it seems like it would be a Mermail support card, and it is, and it helps them. But when it was released, actually was sort of their undoing as well because Abyss Dweller was very useful against them to stop all those Atlantean effects and other annoying things. So I think that it's kind of funny. This card actually released as like what rarity was it? It was a super, wasn't it? But it still just ended up being a really expensive, kind of elusive card. But yeah, Abyss Dweller has always been one of my favorite rank 4s. It's not one of the proactive rank 4s, but it's one that everybody pretty much has to include in their extra deck because it's just such a good out to so many things. And then once cards like Raigeki were legal again, it became even more powerful. The idea of just being able to summon Abyss Dweller, then activate Raigeki on a field of Burning Abyss monsters or whatever else, Yang Zings, and just completely kind of shut them down. So number 2 on this list is Maxi, another secret rare go figure, and in my opinion, one of the most deceptively powerful cards in the game. It was really a very interesting take on a hand trap, and funny enough, not all that popular when it was first released, but you discard it, you draw whenever your opponent special summons, but it creates this really, really interesting mind game that I like, where, if an opponent drops Maxi on you, you're faced with a choice of, do you continue to special summon and give them advantage, or do you just stop, therefore kind of halting your play at sometimes inconvenient, points, and let them continue the game from there. And if you use Maxi properly, it can get you so many pluses and also be a form of protection. If you make a powerful field that's hard to break and you have Maxi in your hand, when your opponent's turn starts, you use Maxi whenever, and then at that point they're just at a bit of a standstill because they can't get over your big field without special summoning a lot of stuff themselves. That gives you cards, and if they don't kill you that turn, which is unlikely, then you'll probably beat them the next turn. Maxi, in a sense, is more powerful than like Royal Oppression or Vanity's Happiness when you think about it. Anyway though, funny enough, the card wasn't very popular when it was first released, mainly because the game, I think, hadn't sped up to the point that it is now where special summons were imperative every turn. But when people realized that Maxi was that good, it obviously shot up in price, and even though it's been reprinted a couple times, it is still a very tough card to get a hold of sometimes, so yeah. And the number 1 card on this list is Tour Guide from the Underworld. You probably could have seen this coming. This card has been extremely expensive, a very expensive TCG exclusive, relevant since release. At first it was there to get Sangan and get you advantage. Later, Dino Rabbit used it to get Levier and get back Rabbit. It was usable in like windups, Plant Synchro, Agents, Burning Abyss now, obviously. It's been on and off the ban list. It probably takes the cake for one of the most expensive cards of all time. I mean, it got to over $200 pretty easily, and you had to have 3 of this thing. So definitely, in my opinion, one of just the most pivotal, the biggest TCG exclusive cards, and that's why it takes number 1 on this list. So that's the list. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you're enjoying your Independence Day, or if you're watching this after July the 4th, I just hope you're enjoying your day. And if you're watching this and you're not in the United States, then I also just hope you're enjoying your day. But anyway, those are the top 10, in my opinion, TCG exclusive cards. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys agree with some of them. Let me know in the comments what your personal favorites are. And that's gonna be it. Also, remember to check out the description for a chance to win a TCG Player gift card. And you can also buy a Team APS playmat. You can follow me on social media, and if you like these types of videos, you can subscribe to Team APS because I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's gonna be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.